Okay, so we are on slide 21. We're continuing on with our Chapter 1 PowerPoint. And so this is about Abraham Maslow is continuing his pyramid. So we're at the self-actualization stage, which is the very top. Maslow said the highest level of need is self-actualization. It's really to find out who you are as a person. And to reach this level, you must at least partially fulfill other levels of needs. Now, people are going to go up and down that pyramid throughout their life. Let's say you have reached the very top where you are displaying your needs or knowing what you need or growing as a person. And then something drastic happens like a hurricane or a fire or something. You drop all the way back down to that bottom level. While you still have some of these needs that you're doing, still the most basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter, those have to be met. So you come back down to the bottom of that. And we'll go up and down that pyramid all throughout our life. Okay, so to reach self-actualization, to reach this level, you must at least partially fulfill other levels of needs, because people, if their basic needs are not met, they have a hard time focusing on those other higher levels of you've got to have your basics met first. A person that's worried about where they're getting their next meal, they're not going to be worried about, how do I look in front of other people. That's going to be kind of like on the back burner. Okay, so at this level of self-actualization, people may choose to express their individuality through their clothing choices. And I know as teenagers, you all love to do that. Okay, so our learning target is to summarize how clothes reflect personality, values, and self-concept. Okay, clothing communicates. It says a lot about you. The way you dress, the way you express your personality. It should help you say, this is me. This is how I feel about myself. This is what I want to portray to other people. Okay, so how might you describe this person's personality? Write that in your Cornell notes. Okay, values. Your values are the qualities, standards, principles, and ideals you consider important or desirable. They guide your actions. They influence your decision, including those you make about what you wear. If a person's values are low, their things that they would choose to wear may not be desirable or appropriate for, let's say, a job interview. You would want to portray something that is professional. So self-concept, the way you dress and your overall appearance can affect your self-concept. A person with a positive self-concept feels he or she is a worthwhile person. I want you to get to know me. And so that confidence comes out. A person with a negative self-concept thinks of his or her failures instead of their good qualities, and they usually hide. They hide behind things, and they hide behind clothing. Okay, self-concept. When you know you look good, you feel better about yourself. My son, throughout sports for football, they would always say, we're getting new uniforms, and the better you look, the better you'll play. Which maybe not, but he really felt like it was important. Studies reveal that your feelings about yourself usually show in your appearance. If you don't feel good about yourself, you might not put any makeup on or do your hair. So it does have an effect. Most teens with positive self-concept show this by dressing well. Okay, so our learning target is to assess how clothes can create positive first impressions. So first impression, the first time you meet someone, the way you feel about people when you first meet them, clothing has a big impact on that. Because a person's clothing is often the first thing you see, the apparel can influence your impression about the person. This is never truer than on a job interview. You never get a chance to make that first impression over, so you want to put your best foot forward, look professional, because you can't redo it. You can't go back and redo that. Okay, so think about it. What first impression does this person give? Looks like they're on their way to school. We're going to summarize factors that influence clothing choices. So the influence of your clothing choices are activities. What are you involved in? Climate. Is it cold? Is it hot? What's the most flattering on you? Your family and your friends are going to make an impact on your choices. How much does it cost? That's a biggie. If I see something that is beautiful and it is out of my price range, I'll be sad for a minute, but I'll say, well, I can't afford that. And I might think about it later, about how pretty that was, but I still know I can't afford it. And then there is the media, what we see on TV, on social media, that affects. And now they're using advertising. People can just click and buy, and it becomes impulse buying. It can get out of hand. Okay, activities. Your activities, where you go and what you do, influences what you're going to wear that day. So teenagers need clothes for school. They need it for leisure activities, special occasions like prom and graduation, and possibly going to work. All those things affect what you're going to wear. So write in your Cornell notes what activities you think these teenagers are dressed for. Okay, climate. Different climates create different clothing needs. If temperatures remain warm year-round, cold weather apparel is not needed. So, for instance, I lived in New York, and I needed snow boots and a big heavy-duty coat, and it was cold, and it was rainy all the time, and it was cloudy, and the sun hardly ever came out the whole entire year that we were there. And then I've lived in Texas, and I've lived in Louisiana where it was hot, and we wore shorts almost year-round, except for just a little bitty section of the year when it would get cold. The most of the time, you could wear shorts almost all year round. If weather is both warm and cold, people have to have clothing for each climate. Okay, so what's the most flattering? People usually want to choose garments that make them look their best, the best color. I don't want to pick a drab color that's going to make me look washed out. So I'm going to go with my also favorite colors. Family and friends influence the clothing choices, mainly your friends. Family can say yes or no, but mainly it's your friends. Cost. Clothing choices are often determined by how much money a person has to spend on clothes. Very few people have unlimited funds to spend on clothes. They usually spend the money on their basics that they need. Even the wealthy people, they may spend more on clothing, but you can only wear so much, one thing at a time. With planning, you can buy the clothes you need and save for costlier items you do not need right away. So if there's something you have your eye on, you can save for it. Media plays a key role. We already talked about that in influencing your choices. The media includes various forms of mass communication. And here's a review. What human needs can clothing help satisfy? physical needs, safety and security, love and acceptance, esteem, and self-actualization. Based on these needs, name several factors that influence clothing choices. We wear clothes for modesty, for conformity, attraction, self-adornment, status and prestige, identification, and individuality. So let's give an example of a value. How might a value influence a person's clothing choice? And that is going to be an individual question. And people's clothing choices also reflect their personality, their values, and their self-concept. And that's all for the review. Please take a picture of your Cornell notes and submit to Canvas. And that's all.